I worked at laboring jobs for several years. I worked in construction on farms and ranches and in factories putting nuts on bolts hour after hour. One day, in a state of frustration, I began asking this question: why is it that some people are more successful than others? Now, in the Bible, there's a line that says, "Seek and ye shall find. For all who seek findeth. Ask and the door will be opened." So I began asking other successful people, what are you doing differently from me? They'd have told me, and I did it, and I got better results. I got into sales when I could no longer get a laboring job. And in sales, I noticed that one of the guys in my company was making 10 times as much as anybody else. He was selling the same product out of the same office at the same price to the same people under the same conditions. He was making 10 times as much as anybody else. I went and asked him, what are you doing differently from me? He told me, and I did it. What I discovered, which changed my life, is I discovered the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect, sowing and reaping, action and reaction, is the greatest universal or iron law of the universe. What it says is that everything happens for a reason, that there are no causeless effects. Even if we don't know what is causing the effect, we can trace it back. It's the basis of the scientific process of all medical research, of all marketing, of all business. If you can define an effect that you want, you can trace it back. Find somebody who at one time did not have that effect and then find out what they did. Then you do the same things and you eventually get the same results. We say that success is not an accident and failure is not an accident. Success leaves tracks. So if you just follow the tracks of other successful people, no matter where you're starting from, you eventually get to the same place that they get to. The two most important things we need to have to be happy and healthy are a sense of control, a feeling that we are in control of our lives, that things are happening for a reason, and a sense of coherence, a feeling that things fit together well. When I realized the law of cause and effect explained everything, I thought, wow. So in sales, I went to the top of my sales force. I read, I learned, I attended courses, and especially applied what I learned. Then when I got into sales management, I again read the books, took the courses, and asked for advice. When I got into real estate, importation, development, manufacturing, and distribution in a whole series of businesses over the years, the first thing I did was ask, how does it work? How do people succeed in this field? Then I buried myself and immersed myself. I spent hours and hours and hours studying, and then I did what the most successful people did. We say that nature is neutral. In other words, nature doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care if you're tall or short, male or female, or black or white, educated or uneducated. Nature doesn't care. All nature cares about is that you do what successful people do. It's like making a recipe. Nature doesn't care who's doing it. If you follow the recipe exactly, you get the dish. Nature doesn't care who's doing it. That's the wonderful thing about our society. It's basically like justice, it's blind. Nature doesn't care. In fact, there are a lot of people who are not as smart and not as talented as you who are doing vastly better than you, not because they're better, but because they're just following proven success methods. There's nothing that will make you madder than to see somebody who's dumber than you making more money than you. So what we do is use proven success methods. We just find out what they are and do them over and over again. Good point. Nothing works the first time, okay? Please understand that nothing works the first time. What is the average number of times that a person tries with a new goal before they give up? Can you guess? Well, the average is less than one because most people give up before they try even once. They say, that's a great goal. I'd love to be financially independent, and then they give up. They don't even try. They say, I couldn't because of this and because of that and so on. And they move away to a wonderful place called someday. Ever heard of someday? Someday I'll start saving money. Someday I'll get out of debt. Someday I'll lose weight. Someday I'll start a business. Someday I'll get serious about my finances. Most people live on someday. Your job and my job is to vote yourself off the island, right? We start taking control of our lives. Some years ago, I was called by a major businessman, and he asked me if I would do a talk for his 800 entrepreneurs who own separate franchises within his organization on how to become a self-made millionaire. I said, sure. When you're a young speaker, you agree to speak on any subject. Sure, I'll speak on that subject. I was just like most people when I was young. I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 30. When I hit 30, I put it off to 35. As I got to 35, I put it off to 40. And then you kind of just don't look at it anymore. You forget about it and feel that the deck is stacked against you. Well, I was about 38 or 39 when he called me up and asked me. I said, sure, no problem. I said, now, what do I know about self-made millionaires? And this is a shocker. I didn't know anything. What do I know about self-made millionaires? So I began to study them, find out where they came from, what they did, how they thought, where they started, the decisions they made, and the kind of people they were. One of the things that I learned, by the way, is that becoming a self-made millionaire is not the important thing. What is really important is the person you have to become a self-made millionaire. You have to become a totally different human being. One of my friends says that in order to achieve something you've never achieved before, you have to become someone you've never been before. It's a really important insight. The qualities that you need to develop, the qualities on the inside to become a self-made millionaire, are incredible qualities that make you a vastly better person. Not only better in terms of character, determination, discipline, decision-making, strength, and so on, they make you a far better person. They round out your character in a far better way. So the real payoff of becoming wealthy is not because you can eat more. How many more meals can you eat? How many more clothes can you wear? It's about the kind of person that you become and then the kind of people that you associate with the kind of life that you have. What I found in my research is that there are a series of qualities that self-made millionaires have. If you have these qualities, your success is virtually guaranteed. If you don't have these qualities, the qualities are learnable. Point no one is that all business or sales skills are learnable. All financial skills are learnable. If you can drive a car, you can learn any skill. Now, no two is that you're probably only one skill away from doubling your income right now. You're probably only one skill away from setting yourself on the road to becoming a self-made millionaire. It turns out to be the case for almost everyone. If you don't know what that skill is, maybe over the course of the time we spend together, it'll jump out at you. But whatever it is, you've got to find it out and go to work on it. Because it is learnable. It's a learnable skill. People say, well, I don't mean I've never been very good with money. Well, get over it. The fact of the matter is you can learn what you need to learn to achieve anything that you want to achieve. Give yourself a score of 1 to 10, and if you are weak on one of these, it can be enough to hold you back. If you're strong on all of these, then there's no limit to what you can accomplish. The first is to dream big dreams. Dream big dreams. Practice what is called back from the future thinking and project forward. Develop a vision of yourself as happy, healthy, wealthy, and fit. Practice what top people practice, which is called idealization. You project forward several years and imagine that your life is perfect in every way. Imagine that you have no limitations. Imagine that you have all the money, all the friends, all the contacts, all the education, and all the experience that you could be, have, or do anything you want in life. If you could, what would it be? If your life were perfect in 5 years, what would it look like? How much would you be earning? How much would you be worth? What kind of family life would you have? What kind of health would you enjoy? What kind of car would you be driving? What would your life be like if you could wave a magic wand and make it perfect in every way? Now, what we have found is that this is the starting point of great riches and the starting point of great success in life, for you to have a dream or a vision of a wonderful future. Here's an exercise that we give people in our audiences. Take a sheet of paper and make what is called a dream list. Now, imagine this is kind of like a kid's Christmas list, allowing you to run wild and write down everything you can think of that you could possibly want. I had a friend to whom I taught this, and he got so excited that he bought a spiral notebook and began writing. He would go through the newspaper, and for every single thing he saw that was nice, he wrote it down. He ended up the first time through with 330 goals. By the end of the month, he had 500 things that he wanted. The interesting thing was that his life exploded. He activated the law of attraction and began to attract into his life people, circumstances, ideas, resources, and insights that began to move him toward the accomplishment of his goals and began to move the goals toward him. No two is to do what you love to do. Whenever you find people who are really successful in life, they are people who do what they love to do. They love their work. The great rule for success in life is to find something that you love to do and then find a way to make a living doing it. Now, when you find what you love to do, it will be something that gives you energy, motivates you, and enthuses you. It's probably something you were meant to do from the time you were born. When you ask a self-made millionaires what sort of work they do, they'll often say, I've never worked a day in my life, I just do what I like to do. No, 3 is to commit to excellence. Now, this is really important. I had a hard time with this as a young man because I was never good at anything. I was never picked for any team, and if I was picked, I was the first person cut. I got lousy grades in every class. I was fired from multiple jobs. I even got fired from a job pumping gas. Can you imagine getting fired for pumping gas because you're no good? They came out and said, "You're no good at pumping gas." I got fired and went from job to job. And then I discovered that all people who are successful are excellent at what they do. You know the old question they asked Willie Sutton, the bank robber, "Why do you rob banks?" He said, "That's where the money is." Well, being in the top 10% is where the money is. So what you have to do is pay any price and make any sacrifice to get into the top 10% in your field. Here's the good news: if you're doing what you love to do, you will want to be in the top 10% of your field. If you don't want to be excellent at what you're doing, it means you're in the wrong field. It just means that you're marking time treading water. There are a lot of people in their field who do their job and go home at night without thinking about their work. This kind of attitude means that you have no future in a very shaky present. That crackling sound you hear is the ice breaking under your feet. You have no future because if you're not doing what you love and throwing your whole heart into it, you're just marking time. But everybody is designed so that there is something they love to do, something they can do well. The fact that you love it means that you probably have the ability to excel at it. So make this decision to get into the top 10%. Let me tell you how it changed my life. Here I was, struggling in my late 20s. And I learned this breakthrough thought. Everybody in the top 10% in the bottom 10%. Everybody who's doing well was once doing poorly. Everyone at the top of your field today was once not even in your field at all and didn't even know it existed. What that means is that if you're willing to pay the price, work hard, and make sacrifices, you can get into the top 10%. Now, how long does it take? It doesn't take a week or a month. Most people are really impatient. To achieve mastery in your field, it takes 5 to 7 years. You'll say, 5 to 7 years? Geez, I'll be 5 to 7 years older before I start enjoying the big rewards. Well, how much older will you be in 5 to 7 years anyway? Now, here's an important point. Are you ready? The time is going to pass anyway. 5 to 7 years from now, 5 to 7 years will have passed. The only question is, are you going to be at the top of your field? Or are you still going to be down there with a mediocre 80%? The wonderful thing is this: nobody's better than you, and nobody's smarter than you. If anybody else is at the top of the field, it means that you can be at the top of your field. Just go to them and find out how they got there, because they started at the bottom. Now, it may take longer for some people and less for others, but everybody who puts one foot in front of the other and keeps moving eventually gets there. That's where all the rewards are. Not only that, but that's where all the joy in life is. When you're really good at what you do, you feel wonderful about yourself. You're respected and esteemed by everybody around you. You can write your own ticket and open any door when you're good at what you do, because you get up in the morning knowing you're good. And that is more important than the rewards that come with it. The next key is to develop your unique talents and abilities. Every single person is designed from infancy with special talents and abilities that, if developed to their height, can enable you to accomplish anything you want in life. Everyone is genetically structured to do something superbly, to do something they enjoy, to do it well, and to get great satisfaction from it. Peter Drucker often asks the question, what are you good at? What are you good at today? What should you be good at? What could you be good at? What will you be good at? One of the questions we ask is, looking back in your life, what has been most responsible for your success up to now? What has been most responsible in the past? What is it that you have done that has gotten you the best results? Because, as we said before, success leaves tracks, and if you look back into your past, you'll often find indicators that guide you to your future. So the next key to becoming a self-made millionaire is to see yourself as self-employed. What we found is that the top 3% of adults in our society see themselves as self-employed. They see themselves as in charge of their own lives. When I started off my career as a young man, I was 21 years old, working as a construction laborer, living in a one-bedroom apartment, broke and taking buses for 2 hours every morning to get to work and 2 hours to get back. I still remember that, and I still recall a light going off one evening. I was sitting there in my little apartment in my small kitchen alcove when I suddenly realized that I was responsible, that I was in charge of my own life, and that no one was coming to the rescue. It was one of the great turning points in my life. What you find is that all exceptional people are highly responsible people. They look upon themselves as self-employed. Sometimes I'll ask an audience, how many people here are self-employed? Some people will raise their hands and some won't. Then I'll say, now, what's the true answer to this question? The true answer is that everyone is self-employed. The biggest mistake you can ever make is to think you work for anyone else but yourself, even if someone else signs your paycheck. The most valuable people in any organization are the ones who treat the company as though it belongs to them. They see everything that happens as affecting them personally. They're not the 9-to-5ers, the no-hopers who say, yeah, well, I go to work. When I'm not at work, I don't think about my work. These people have been told that this is a clever way to think, but it's the way losers think. Winners think about their company, and when they're not there, they think about how they can do it better. When something happens in their company, they take it personally because they see themselves as highly responsible. As a result, they're gained more educational opportunities, promoted faster, and these are the people who eventually, like cream, rise to the top of every organization and industry, the top 3%. The next key to becoming a self-made millionaire is to develop a clear sense of direction. Developing a clear sense of direction means that you need to become intensely goal-oriented. We find that all successful people are goal-oriented. There's an old saying, you can't hit a C. You've got to know what you want in every area of your life. Some years ago, I worked with a hot oil company in Texas. The hot oil company was founded by H.L. Hunt, who became the wealthiest self-made multi-billionaire in the world. At his peak, he owned 200 companies and had a royalty income of $3 million a day. A most phenomenal man, by the way. He was interviewed by a friend of mine on television before he died in the early 70s. He was asked, what are the secrets to success? He said, the keys to success have only been 2 throughout my life, and I will tell you what they are. No, 1, decide exactly what it is you want. Write it down and make a plan to achieve it. No, 2, determine the price you're going to have to pay to get it and then resolve to pay that price. Now, regarding the law of sowing and reaping cause and effect, I learned an additional point to that. I learned that your current life today is the result of the price you have been sowing up to now. Whatever you put in, you get out. So whatever you're getting out today is a result of what you've put in. If you don't like what you're getting out, what you have to do is put in something different. What I found is that life is always just in the long run. Therefore, life says this, there's a price you have to pay. There are 2 qualities to this. First of all, you have to pay the price in full for your success, study, preparation, hard work, and so on. Second, you have to pay the price in advance. You don't get it afterwards. The way the world works is first you put in what you need to put in, and then you get out the rewards. So you have to ask yourself, what is the price that you have to pay to achieve the success that you desire? You have to write it down, make a plan, and work on it every day. Now, let me give you a quick exercise, which is my only take-home or homework exercise. I want you to take a piece of paper and write down 10 goals that you'd like to accomplish in the next 12 months. Write the word goals and today's date at the top of the page. Write down 10 goals you'd like to accomplish. And then ask yourself this great question. If you could only accomplish 1 goal on this list, but you could accomplish it within 24 hours, which 1 goal would have the greatest positive impact on your life? This is a great question because it will usually jump out at you. You'll say, that's the one. If I had this, it would have more of an impact on my life than anything else. Sometimes it's a financial goal. Sometimes it's a relationship goal. But whatever it is, put a circle around that goal. Then turn the page over and write it at the top of the page. Set a deadline on the goal. Make a list of everything you can think of to do to achieve the goal. And then begin working on your list. And here's the kicker, do something every day. Do something every day that moves you 1 step forward towards your major goal. My promise to you is that this exercise, selecting your most important goal, making a plan, and working on it every day will change your life in ways that you cannot imagine. They say that people begin to become great when they determine their major definite purpose, their 1 goal, and work on it every day. It is the secret to becoming a self-made millionaire. It's the secret to great success in life. My promise to you is that a week, a month, a year from now, you'll look back and be absolutely staggered at the difference it makes. Next, refuse to consider the possibility of failure. It's the most amazing thing. The fear of failure is the greatest obstacle to success as an adult in life. It's not failure itself, because each one of you is a professional failure. Each one of you has failed over and over and over again. Isn't that true? All of us fail. All human beings fail over and over. 9 out of 10 things that we try don't work out the way we expect. We have failures in relationships, jobs, careers, investments, everything. It's not the failure that holds you back. The failure makes you smarter. We say that it is the fear of failure, not failure itself, that holds you back. The way that you overcome failure is you never consider the possibility of failure. The rule is this: there's no such thing as failure, there's only feedback. When you try something that doesn't work, you get feedback, not failure. Recognize that most things you try aren't going to work the first few times. What you do is say, oh, that's an interesting bit of feedback, and you pick yourself up and move forward. You get more feedback and move forward. To become a self-made millionaire, you're going to fail over and over again, year after year after year. But your brain has a cybernetic mechanism, which means that every time you try something, you get feedback that makes you smarter. When you try something else, you get feedback that makes you smarter. Eventually, you reach Learju-Spart and you stop making mistakes. You start to do more and more things right and fewer things wrong, but you can't get there unless you have experienced the failures. Henry Ford once said that failure is merely an opportunity to more intelligently begin again. Let me pass on one great rule to you that has been discovered in interviewing self-made millionaires. Self-made millionaires look into every failure for something good. They say there's got to be something good in this that I can benefit from, and surprise, surprise, they always find it. Second, self-made millionaires always seek the valuable lesson in every setback, obstacle, or temporary failure, and they always find the lesson. Now, what do failures do? Failures whine and cry, think about what they've lost, and blame their problems on someone else. Successful people say, what can I learn from this that will make me smarter next time? My promise to you is that those who seek will find. If you go looking for a valuable lesson in the biggest problem that you're facing today, you'll always find the lesson. Here's another possibility. Your biggest problem today could be the biggest gift that you have ever received, because it may contain within it the lesson that will make you successful. If you stop thinking about what happened and who's to blame, and you start looking for the gift within your problem, sometimes it can transform your life. The next key is to dedicate yourself to lifelong learning. What takes you from rags to riches is personal development, personal and professional development. In the 21st century, as Peter Drucker says, knowledge and skill are the keys to success, and the only skill that will be relevant is the ability to learn new skills, because virtually everything you know is becoming obsolete at a rapid rate. Stephen Covey says that your current knowledge base has a half-life of 2 years, which means that half of everything you know will be irrelevant within 2 years, and 2 years from now, half more will be irrelevant. If you're not continually learning and upgrading your knowledge and skills, you're not staying in the same place. As Pat Riley, the basketball coach, says, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. If you're not constantly learning, you're actually falling behind. Here are the 3 keys to continuous learning. 1, reading your field for 30 to 60 minutes each day. I've had countless people tell me over the years that reading an hour a day has doubled and tripled their income within a year. 2, take every course that you possibly can. The courses and seminars that are available to you in your field, given by professionals, are courses that have been developed over years and years. They have been tested and retested. The person who is talking to you for several hours has spent thousands of hours learning their subject. They have dry tested this or done test runs with thousands of other people. When you take a course, you can learn enough information in 1 or 2 days that you could learn in 2 or 3 years, or maybe even a lifetime, all distilled and put together. People say, I can't afford a course. You cannot afford not to buy books. You cannot afford not to go to courses. 3, listen to audio programs in your car. The average driver drives 500 to 1,000 hours a year, covering 5,000 to 50,000 miles. If you listen to audio programs in your car, according to the University of Southern California, you will get the equivalent of almost full-time university attendance just from listening to learning material as you drive around. It can totally and profoundly change your life. Here's an interesting point. The more you commit yourself to becoming the best person you can be, the more you like and respect yourself. The more energy you have, the bigger goals you set for yourself, and the more you persist. When you invest in yourself and you read and upgrade your skills, you're telling yourself, wow, I am a person with a great future, and it's up to me to maximize my potential. Your self-esteem goes up, your self-respect goes up, your sense of personal pride goes up, and you start to get promoted and paid more in every part of your life. The next key is to develop a workaholic mentality. In our society today, all these people talk about taking it easy, having balance in your life, relaxing, leaning back, having fun at work, happy, get along with your coworkers. This is loser talk. Loser. Now, there's a time in your life when you can back off, you can take it easy. But that's when you've made it, not before. Before you've made it, you're in competition with hundreds of thousands, millions of other people, like at the Olympics, who also want to make it. In order for you to win, you're going to have to work harder, work better, and work smarter than they do. So the rule is to develop a workaholic mentality. What does this mean? It means that you start a little earlier, you work a little harder, and you stay a little later. Use what I call the 40 formula. The 40 formula says that working 40 hours a week gets you survival, and that's all. If you work 40 hours a week, you survive, you make no progress, you don't go ahead, you just barely hang on. Every hour that you invest in your work for yourself over 40 is an investment in your future. You can tell what your future is going to be with amazing accuracy by looking at how many hours over 40 you put in. Now, how many hours does the average self-made millionaire in America work until he passes the $1 million mark? 59. Some of them work 70, 80, or 90 hours. The average is 59 hours. How much does the average top executive work? 59 hours. So that's rule number one, the hours you put in over 40. People say, well, my office is locked and I can't get in more than 40 hours a week. Then good. Spend the rest of the time investing in yourself, getting better at your work when you do it. Now, here's my second principle, and this principle changes your life. Work all the time you work. Work when you work. Don't play. Fully 50% of working time today is wasted, and it's wasted on idle conversation, personal business, family phone calls, surfing the internet, reading the newspaper, drinking coffee, long lunch times, coming in late and leaving early. Then the other 50% you're scrambling because you're now behind, having wasted so much time fooling around. Now you start to work, and you don't work on high priority tasks. You try to get rid of all the little stuff. So what happens is the big tasks begin to build up like an avalanche overhang, causing enormous stress. You go home at night thinking about the job. I've got to get this project finished, but I can't discipline myself to stop talking to my coworkers. Every time one of them comes in, it's like an automatic conditioned response. It's blah, blah time, chatter, 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 chatter. No, what you have to do is work all the time you work. If someone comes in and says, hi, do you have a minute to talk? You say, yes, but not now. Why don't we talk after work? Meanwhile, I've got to get back to work. I tell you what, why don't you go down the hall and ruin his career, but don't stand here and ruin mine. It's really important. The next key is to get around the right people. This is a key for becoming a self-made millionaire. Get around the right people. Dr. David McClellan at Harvard did studies for 25 years looking into why some people succeeded greatly in life. What he found was that as much as 99% of your success in life is going to be determined by what he called your reference group. Your reference group is the people with whom you associate. They are the people you associate with at work, the people you associate with at home, your church, your political party, your social circle. What he found in working with people is that changing a person's reference group totally transforms the way they think. Why? Because we are like chameleons. We absorb through the skin the attitudes, opinions, behaviors, styles of dress, and styles of speech of the people with whom we associate most of the time. If you start to associate with winners most of the time, you find that they have a totally different worldview. They're positive, they're upbeat, they're focused, they're learning, they're growing, they're passionate about what they're doing, and you start to become like that. We know that our relationships determine 85% of our happiness or unhappiness in life. In other words, if you have bad personal relationships, they will drag you down worse than a sea anchor. If you've worked for a bad boss, it'll destroy all your joy in work. If you have one negative coworker, research shows that one negative person in an office can cast a shadow over the whole workplace due to his or her negativity. So, the most important thing you can do is choose your relationships with care and only associate with people that you like, respect, and enjoy being around. Next, be prepared to climb from peak to peak. One of the keys to becoming a self-made millionaire is realizing that life is never a continuous train ride. It's always up and down. Just like climbing a mountain peak, you have to go down into the valley before you can climb the next peak. Life is filled with cycles and trends. There are up cycles and down cycles, up trends and down trends. The question is, what is the general direction of your trends? We say this: life is 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Successful people focus on the 2 steps forward, and they protect themselves on the downside. They build up cash reserves, put in stop-loss orders in the stock market, and very carefully watch what they're doing to maintain that 2 steps up pattern, ensuring that the 1 step back is not too far. They want to make sure that this curve is generally upward, so that each time there's a step back, they're still further ahead than they were before. The next point is to develop resilience and bounce back. Developing resilience and the ability to bounce back is one of the key qualities of self-made millionaires because, as I said right at the beginning, most things won't work. My friend Charlie Jones says, if you have to bounce, don't break. When things go wrong, bounce back. What I learned many years ago was this interesting technique called mental rehearsal. Mental rehearsal says that you mentally prepare for the inevitable downturns before they occur. You tell yourself, all right, in the course of life, things are going to go wrong, but when they do, I'm not going to become upset or mad or angry or anything else. I'm just going to take it, learn from it, pick myself up, and keep going. Sometimes I ask this question, does anybody here have any problems? Everybody says, yes, everybody's got problems. Here's the rule. All of life is a continuous series of problems that never end. The problems just keep on coming like the waves of the ocean. The only break in this unbroken series of problems will be the occasional crisis. So life will be problem, 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 crisis, problem, 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 crisis, like the waves of the ocean, 6 problems, and a crisis. This means that everybody here is either in a crisis right now, has just gotten out of a crisis, or is just about to face one. What we've found through 30 years of research is that the hallmark of superior people is how they respond to a crisis. How you deal with problems and respond to crisis is crucial. What we've found is that superior people look for solutions to every problem. They don't allow themselves to become upset or angry when something goes wrong. They say, okay, what's the solution? And they become intensely solution-oriented. When you have a very intense problem, it stimulates your creativity to solve it. So what you do is define the problem clearly. If you have a problem, say, wait a minute, what is my problem? What is it that I'm worried about? Write it down. The very act of clearly defining a problem often triggers a solution. One last technique I want to give you regarding your major definite purpose. If you only do these 2 things as a result of our time together, they will transform your life. You've already identified the one goal that can have the greatest positive impact on your life. Now take that goal and write it at the top of a page in the form of a question. Just say your goal is to double your income. That could have a major impact on your life. Ask, what are all the things I could do to double my income in the next 12 months? Write it as a clear question. Even better, if you're earning $50,000 a year today, write, what could I do to earn $100,000 over the next 12 months? The more specific the question, the better. Then devote yourself to writing 10 to 20 answers. Question. You must write a minimum of 20 answers. Think, work harder, work smarter, start earlier, stay later, change occupations, upgrade my skills, whatever it is. Keep forcing yourself to write until you've got 20 answers. We call this mind storming. The first 3 to 5 answers will be easy. The next 3 to 5 answers will be difficult. And the last 10 answers will be incredibly difficult. But I've given this exercise to people who have gone on to become millionaires so many times I've lost track. Because they often find that the 20th answer changes their whole life. If you've ever done this once, it's absolutely staggering. More people have become millionaires with this simple idea of mind storming, what I call the 20 idea, than any other single method of creative thinking ever discovered. Once you've got your 20 answers, pick one answer and take action on it immediately. Once you've chosen it, it doesn't matter what it is, just take one answer and take action on it. That will keep you thinking and acting creatively all day long. The key to becoming a self-made millionaire is to become an unshakable optimist. An unshakable optimist means that you think and talk about what you want most of the time. Optimists think and talk about what they want. They look for the good in every situation. They seek the valuable lesson. They are constantly feeding their minds with great ideas, which opens up new perspectives. What I've found is that optimists have 3 wonderful qualities. Number 1 is they learn more things, which dramatically increases the likelihood that they will learn the right thing at the right time. Number 2 is they try more things, which dramatically increases the likelihood that they'll try the right thing at the right time. And number 3 is they persist, they never give up. Optimists make a decision that once they've decided they're going to become wealthy, they just never stop until they achieve that goal. Well, they have many setbacks, obstacles, and difficulties. Yes, almost everybody succeeds in a different direction from what they originally intended or thought. But they just keep going, almost like a football player running down the field, blocking, changing direction, moving forward, but never losing sight of the goal. So optimists learn more things, try more things, and persist longer. The second to last quality is that they develop the qualities of courage and persistence. As I said before, the biggest single obstacle to success is the fear of failure. The antidote to the fear of failure is the habit of courage. What we know is that you need two types of courage to succeed. The first type of courage is the courage to begin. It's the courage to launch with no guarantees of success. Someone once said that if all obstacles must first be removed, nothing will ever get done. So successful people are willing to think, plan, make decisions, and then take action with no guarantees. We say leap and the net will appear. Take action with no guarantees and then learn. The second part of courage is the courage to endure. It's the courage to persist, to keep on keeping on. It's making the decision in advance that you will never give up no matter what happens. You'll get knocked down over and over again, but you will never give up. When you make that decision in advance, you'll find yourself continually bouncing back. Courage means the courage to begin and the courage to endure. The final quality of self-made millionaires, which Napoleon Hill called the master key to riches after 500 of the richest people in American history, is the quality of self-discipline. It's the ability to make yourself do what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. The quality of self-discipline is what will make you a big success. It's the ability to force yourself to do what you know you should do. And here's the wonderful discovery: this persistence is self-discipline in action. Every time you persist, you build your self-discipline. Every time you practice self-discipline, you build your ability to persist, and the two of them are tied to your self-esteem. So the more you persist, the more you like yourself, and the more you like yourself, the more discipline you have. The more discipline you practice, the more you like yourself as a result. This leads to an upward spiral where you become absolutely unstoppable. You reach the point where you know you can achieve your goal and nothing in the world can stop you. Every step you take forward makes you stronger and stronger until finally people say, I know one thing about him. I know one thing about her. You cannot stop him or her. Once they've decided they want something, they will not stop until they get it. When you develop that quality, nothing will be impossible for you.